All right, thank you one more time. The program still here this morning on ITV. We're going to be looking at issues around the EDO 2024. Yes, perhaps you may want to say that the protest has maybe directed attention from all the build-up to EDO 2024. The protests, we cannot afford not to not to have the election in Edo State. So that's the way it is. The way it stands now is about 45 days left for the Edo 2024. Today is the 7th day already. So 7 plus another the days remaining for the month of August to 21 days of September is about 45 days left. So 45 days to Edo elections, issues in focus. That's what we're going to be talking about now. So we're so privileged to have Dr. Peter Owaibi, a member of the PDP Campaign Council in the UK, a public political affairs analyst. Dr. Peter Owaibi, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you too.
Okay. And also too, we have Edward Aswelime. Edward Aswelime is the coordinator for Citizens for Better Volunteers, Citizens for Volunteer Better Nigeria. If I'm not getting it wet, you can correct me. For Better Nigeria, the coordinator for EDO 2024. He's joining us virtually from Abuja this morning. Edward, good morning.
Good morning. Christian Volunteers for Better Nigeria, CVPN.
Okay, thank you so much for doing that. Now, Dr. YB, EDO 2024 is about around the corner, 45 days left, and we've got various issues because of the protests, the campaigns seems to have been relapsed. But one would say that most of the political parties have made their impression. I mean, they've made their mark as far as the campaigns are concerned. We saw almost all of them now, they are huge political parties. We don't want to say that one is bigger than one. They've displayed their momentum, they've displayed their show force in the election. But what can we say about the kind of campaigns that we've been hearing and that we've been seeing for quite some time now?
Yes, well, the campaign has been very cordial, been reasonable, and has a lot of democratic strains attached to them. It is somehow, elections make a fundamental contribution to democratic governance. And therefore, we are thinking of the necessity to make elections very democratic. Otherwise, they will not be necessary. You can simply make them autocratic and for a reason. But if you say they are elections, it goes to mean democracy, the political decisions to be made entirely by the people, to be able to make a choice of a preferred leader to lead them. Now, one. Two, elections is giving the populace, the citizens, the opportunity to elect those persons who can represent them judiciously and competently in the central government. That it were in the beginning of elections in Greece in the 508 yes, BC, the idea was, since the entire population cannot represent themselves in the central government, the people had the opportunity to elect selected, trusted, prudent few to represent them in the center. It is not by serendipity. It is by calculated effort to be able to spread the harm and benefits of the people taking part in their governance. And so the campaigns are established, and there are rules governing the campaign. And good enough, Nigerian government, by the legislative arm, were able to come up with the 2022 electoral guideline, which directs politicians and the public on how to go about elections. In that 2022 Electoral Act, it gives power to INEC, the Nigerian Independent Electoral yes body, to the umpires of the election. And the idea of an umpire of an election is to ensure credibility, is to ensure fairness, and to ensure rightfulness, absolute rightfulness. You are not an umpire because you are a biased umpire. You are an umpire because you are egalitarian. You are non-partisan. You are political. That is why we have an umpire to foresee, organize, and to make sure that guidelines are tenaciously followed and logically abide by legality.
Okay. All right. So, Edward Aswelebe, now with all the hues and cries of this hashtag end bad governance protests that we've been witnesses for some days now, I mean, even in Edo State here, we also had our own fair of share. Now, can Edolites afford to have an autocratic election instead of a democratic election? Let's kick off from where Dr. Waibi stopped now.
All right, thank you, Mr. Edmonds. We'll be talking about all of this. The reason why this, especially a group like the Interfaith, come into this deep participation in all these and in elections is to see that we have all the system democratized. This is the only way we can select the best. We can afford to have any kind of election other than the free, fair election, because if that, then the worst would have happened. We already see where we are. We are hungry. What we're saying is that we know it is not just state government and the local government. If all things were well, we will not get to where we are right. And at a point like this, that is why we are saying, we thank God there's another opportunity to our states, that our people can have the dividends of the economy is not badly, but the governance, those who in charge, have not done exactly what they ought to do. So we can't have any kind of autocratic election. Just select or do whatever you want to do. So on that ground, the government must do their part. Be afraid to come out to vote. That must be taken seriously. They must be assured, see that, look, government has indeed, and that the environment is ripe for a credible election. The INEC also must be independent of the matter, and to see that the acts that election should be conducted. If this is done, we are sure we can have a credible election that will produce the best for us. Around. This is what we think at the point like this is needed. And all of us from various political parties, groups, to see this to be peaceful, to come out to vote rightly. And I tell you, in a very short while, this protest will just be the tip of the iceberg.
Okay. All right. So, Dr. Waibi, little wonder whether this protest is going to have some form of impact on the election. The reason why I ask this now is the major issue in this protest is hashtag end bad governance. You know, bad governance at the federal level, bad governance at the state level, bad governance at the local government level, and bad governance in Nigeria. And that's the hashtag. Now, will this protest have any impact on this election?
Yes, have a remote impact. You see, ostrich kind of hiding. For instance, the president came out to address the on the precipitate of the. See, you find out that then did not address any issue at all, any reason at all. The whole address was a Hong Kong, and more like easier for him to be than to voice backwardity in his speech. As citizens, right? It's Africa that the persons, the citizens, are afraid of their leaders. Meanwhile, you are the ones who put the leaders there. I mean, this is one of the essence of all about it. We are accountable to the citizens to election to elect people and persons character. For instance, the EC forms which aspirants are supposed to, or delegates, or to fill with INEC, supposed to declare from their age, is what they have done before, their financial standings and everything. And they're supposed to fill. And that gives credibility to candidates. The reason for election, candidate. Now, when your candidate is not coming to tell you, then what action? Action is for you to probe candidate inside out, not to be hiding his head in the desert and expect you haven't had the right and opportunity in an election, not know your candidate. For instance, the whole idea of election is to know your candidate, the campaign, tools, you campaign, the likeness of yourself and sell yourself to the public. So to wonder when Nigerians think of voting for a candidate who don't have a manifesto. This have, a prepared taking, for a right anymore. That will be involved in a you don't know your candidate is the whole sort of protestation. If we voted in democratically by counting of votes prudently, there'll be no protestation, there'll be no protest. All this agitation and hunger strike is because the candidate to the people. I mean, that's the evidence. If he was, nobody's going to protest against what he put there.
We're looking at the impact of the protest on the election. What kind of impact is it going to have, Dr. YB?
Yes, the protestation we have both the negative impact and a positive impact. A negative impact in the fact that, there's a downturn in the already deleterious economy, so it will further, suffocate and strangulate the present economic situation that is so bad, of course, occasioned by this present government. But the positive impact could be that INEC, who is an umpire that the Nigerians distaste because of their disdainous act of impartiality, or their disdainous act of partiality, if I may say, more like, I wouldn't expect it to be impartial or biased, may now take into cognizance the fact that the Nigerian people, particularly the 21st election coming up, the people are, and any form of dissatisfaction from the conduct of the election by INEC will be vehemently and forcefully sorry, yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear loud and clear.
Yeah, will be forcefully resisted by the people. So that is the positive aspect of this protestation. INEC will be brought to standard, and the government, the federal government, which is the APC government, also who are very rekindled in electionary malpractices, will be brought into attention and into focus, global focus. The judiciary, or another seat of partiality and corruption, will be brought into global focus, and INEC itself, the conductor of the election, will be brought into global focus. So the protestation will bring into focus the whole electionary process that will occur in Edo State and in Ondo State.
Okay. All right. So
those are the positive impacts.
Okay. Edward Asolime, now the protest probably is polarized along political interests now, if you like. Now you see people say end bad governance at the national level. Then, of course, some people also say end bad governance at the state level. Also, people say end bad governance at the local government level. So, from your own point of view, what kind of impact do you think this protest is going to be having on the election?
All right, thank you. I am very sure it will have, I'm sure it's going to have positive and negative impacts. You know, right now people are discouraged and dissatisfied with the kind of governance that we get. That is why it's protest. And just as I said earlier, and as we all know, we are 3 tiers of government. And if you have been listening to the analysis of the federal government, some of the money generated also go to state and go to state and go to local government. In all of this level, we have not seen this translated into meaningful development. And we can all attest to this because we come from local government, we come from state, and we come from the federal, and we belong to the federal government as well. So therefore, a lot of persons are going to be discouraged. Like, what is the essence of going to vote? Why should we participate? Nothing is happening. So we might likely have that kind of habit. Yeah. So therefore, there is need to sensitize the people and encourage them to participate effectively because it's our state and it's our country. We'll keep pushing. Also, on the part of the government, I am sure they have seen that the citizens are tired and that they have the right to do certain things, like protesting and resisting the government. So therefore, I'm sure that should have sent a signal to the government that the INEC has to do what they have to do and do it correctly. It also said to the government that, look, there's the need for security of life and property so that this election will go well. And I'm sure on the part of those who are electing their leaders, they will be able to see clearly and think properly rather than just collecting 2 naira, 5 naira and to vote their vote. So that instead they will vote their vote. To have a governor who is concerned about his people and not about his own welfare. So therefore, I'm sure the thoughts of this, well, we get it right now because we can see that this is affecting everyone, not just a particular set of people. And again, I said all of these are this negative atmosphere impact. But if we look at it properly, it will be for our gain. It will be for our gain. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, Peter YB, now, all the political parties are major in this election. But for the sake of emphasis, we understand that the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressives Congress are at each other's neck on this election. You hear for the PDP continuity, and of course you hear for APC, new government, new interest, new introduction, and all that. Now, for the PDP continuity, what does that mean? Continuity of what?
Let's oscillate, quite gradually here, otherwise we'll get the point. As I said earlier on briefly, you don't seek to govern the people when the people don't know how you want to govern them. I mean, for instance, look at the abilities of INEC. INEC in its ineffectiveness, well equipped, but very ineffective. We have in Edo State alone about about 17 registered political parties in Edo State.
For this election?
That shouldn't be so. Yes. For this election, we have about 17 politically registered political parties in Edo State. And all of them, of course, by gender, their matriculations and matrices. We have only one female representing, is it PROP or so? I think
the People's Redemption
to one of our
Party.
representatives who was trying to canvass me to do one or two consultations for her. I think her name is EDO or so. Yeah, EDO, PROP.
Yeah.
The rest are men. 17. I mean, you don't just register a political party, whereas you are not partaking in the game. It's almost carnivorous. I mean, you don't just, and INEC is looking at it like that. I mean, there must be some kind of guideline to weed away this unseriousness in our polity space. We cannot continue like this. INEC is one of the most hated government parastatals in Nigeria. But they don't care. They are neck deep into corruption and into corrupt practices. They still don't care. All the violences that are pre-elections and post-elections are occasioned by the ineptness of INEC. They still don't care. Many of these people, because they are from the third world, the penalties of assaulted power is loneliness. They don't really penalize them. As soon as Mahmoud finished reading electionary by 4 a.m., he went back into his snail hideout.
Let's be careful with that now. Let us be careful, Dr. Waibi. Yeah, let's be careful with that. All right, so
It's okay, fine. But you see, let me put it succinctly this way. If those doing wrong find power and boldness to perpetuating justice to the people, then the people also have, though extremely insignificant, to be able to air their voice and view. You cannot really mash tongue when you are perpetuating justice very glaringly, and then the people cannot say, my friend, you are doing the wrong thing, and I think you are corrupt. And if even the least you can be done to is indict you and incarcerate you. I mean, we cannot continue to live like this where corruption is so glaring. I think it was in those days I was in television, 1980 something. Agbo was the commissioner or minister for communication. He said that we are losing 50 million every month to ghost workers.
Okay.
Ministries.
Let me come to Asolime now. Because of that. Let me come to Asolime now. Asolime, for most people in the state now, perhaps the state government has laid down enough foundation for other developmental, attempts and tries to come on board. But for the All Progressives Congress, they tend to come in. What kind of changes that or you think that the APC will bring on board that will make the difference?
Most of the time when we come on this program, we'll be talking about it's not the that's goes for campaign. They will say that the PDP government is around in those states to lay a foundation. I begin to ask, what are the foundations that we cannot see? I'm an Edolite. I am a two-faced child. I am at home and everywhere. Look at kind of Edo, they don't describe it to me. I go there myself.
We are blessed by God's grace, even supporting our people to survive. I don't know the foundation they have laid. The problem is this, that we are crying there's no foundation. Even the little foundation is down. Is it on infrastructure? Is it in education? Is it in agriculture? Where is the foundation? The road is not the debate of is eroded. These are our pains. Where is APCs coming in from? It's coming to start from where Adam from Solomon left. Where we have the red roofs, where we have the agricultural sector, where we have infrastructure. That is all areas. Actually, what will come in to build on. During the days of Solomon, the infrastructure built, there's still the better. You can still put that them. You can still put that. This is why most of the time, I don't want to start complaining about PDP, APC. I try to talk about personality. Okay, like the person who is coming in now, and the things in Hausa. Okay, these are persons who have been tested in the qualities, they have been tested in their private businesses, and we see.
Yeah. All right. So this is where we want to end the discussion this morning.
We are going to be
Yeah, Dr. Waibe, I think we'll end the discussion now because we need to take other segments of the program. Now, these issues are continuous. We're going to call the guests on. I mean, we've got about 45 days before the election. So we'll call, make our invite to these two gentlemen one more time on the program.